Hello, welcome to Christina's Knitting Catch-Up, episode 35. Today is Sunday, the 22nd of May, 2016. I'm Christina, and I'm coming to you from Canberra, Australia, where I live. Today is a really nice sunny day. It's a bit cold. It's supposed to be 21 degrees today, so very nice, and you might hear some birds outside too. I'm facing the window as usual. So this is a knitting podcast, I guess, and I haven't recorded in a few weeks. Things got a little bit busy and hectic in the past couple of weeks, so hadn't been able to record. I was by myself for a week or so while my husband travelled to a conference, so things got a bit busy just trying to do everything myself. So here I am today, and I've got one finished object to show you, except I don't have it in here because it is currently blocking outside. I can see it, you can't see it. It is the really big blanket that I was knitting for my friend for her wedding. This was the inspiration blanket. So it's just cables. And this was given to us for our wedding almost 4 years ago now. And this yarn is not like the yarn that I used for my one. This one is sort of thick and thin and more like roving than yarn. And it's got little tassels, which I might just do up again. They have little knots at the end, and this one has come undone. So my one, I finished knitting on Friday, and I blocked it in the bath, and I've got some photos to show you. I blocked it in the bath using the remainder of my wool wash, which was maybe, I don't know, this much left in the bottle or something, and so I did that. That was good, and the water came out very, very dirty. It was a brown colour when it came out. So after 20 minutes in the water, I drained the water and I rinsed it again, and it wasn't dirty the second time, so I thought that will do. And I laid it out to dry outside in our courtyard, and I stretched it out quite a bit, so the finished measurement was 1.5 meters across and 1.8 meters long. So I ended up using 6 out of the 7 skeins I bought, and the wool was Bendigo Woolen Mills 16 ply undyed yarn, and each skein was 250 grams, so they were quite heavy. So I used 6 of them, so that means this is 1.5 kilograms heavy. So I have 1 skein left that I might send to a friend so she can make one herself. So I knitted these on size 8mm needles, and I used my Addy Click needles. In fact, they're right here. Here they are. I haven't put them away yet. These are my 8mm or US 11 Addy Click needles. There they are, shiny. And it's on the longest cable that there was in the packet. So I can put these away now. Maybe I should do that instead of leaving them out all the time. But I wasn't sure if I was going to have to do anything else to the blanket, but I think it's done now. So I started blocking it or drying it yesterday morning. I let it dry all day yesterday. It was sopping wet, like I couldn't really wring it out very well because I didn't want it to felt, and it was really heavy when it was full of water. So I wrung it out as best I could, sort of squeezed it, but it was still really wet when I laid it out to dry. And then I got a towel and I kind of put it on top and stood on it, and then the towel got completely wet, so it was really wet. And then at night I brought it inside and I laid it in that room up there. and it was there all night, and it dried quite a bit overnight because we kept the house nice and warm. And I've just put it outside again, upside down. So now hopefully the back of it can dry. I really hope that it doesn't spring back to a smaller size when it's dry. When I was knitting it, it was maybe 1 meter wide, not 1.5 meters wide. So I hope it doesn't spring back to that, because I sort of don't think that's big enough for a blanket. Yeah, but I'm really happy with this. It's beautiful. It still smells a bit sheepy. Like I told you when I was knitting it, it smelled quite sheepy. It still smells sheepy. But hopefully when it's dry, it won't be so bad. Or at least maybe my friend won't mind. So that is my finished objects. I haven't woven in the end. There's only 2 ends, one at each end. A start end and an end end. And I haven't woven them in yet. I'll do that when it's dry. I joined in each ball of yarn by doing a splice kind of thing. There's 3 ply in the yarn, so I cut out 1 ply from each end, and then I twisted them up a lot, or untwisted it or something, so that when I put them together it twisted together. And then I kind of moistened it a little bit and rubbed it together in my hand so that it felt it a little bit at each end. And that was fine and pretty much invisible in the end. So in order to figure out how much blanket I got out of each skein, I made a little marker out of one of the plies that I cut out. And so I could see how far a skein got, and it was about that far. I don't know, is that a foot approximately? So I guess it's 6 feet long. Is that right? Surely not. It can't be 6 feet long. So, but it's some amount long, and 1.8 meters long. Is that 6 feet? I don't know. Anyway, so that's done. That can go in the gift pile, which is getting kind of big. Yeah, I'm not sure how I'm going to present it to my friend at her wedding. I thought I can't really wrap it because it's spongy, and if I wrap it then it'll go all crinkled, the wrapping. So I thought putting it in a box, but a blanket in a box sounds a bit weird. Or I might get a really nice gift bag and tie it with a ribbon or something like that. And I'll make a nice care tag that tells her not to put it in the machine, and and that I made it so she doesn't think I bought it, because oh my goodness, a lot of work has gone into this. I really worked very hard on it the past week or two, because I just wanted to get it off the needles. I started worrying that I wasn't going to finish it. So that's great. I'm really happy with that. I haven't got any other finished objects, and this you've seen already. This is my work in progress. This is the pair of socks for my husband out of my own hand-dyed yarn. This yarn is my newest base, which is New Zealand sock, and that's 80% superwash merino and 20% nylon. And these are just a vanilla toe-up sock. So I cast on using the Judy's Magic cast on, which gives an invisible toe. You can still see the toe. It gives an invisible kind of cast on. And I never have an end because I always knit with the 2 strands together on the second round. So I knit with the tail held double with the working yarn. So I never have a tail to weave in here, which is nice. Let me just get my snips. But I seem to have a little bit of a rogue thread. There we go, gone. These are my snips I use for everything yarny. I actually got these when I did a clothing production course at the local TAFE. Yeah. I mean, I got them for sewing machine threads, to snip them, but they are just such great little snips. You don't have to put your fingers in anything to get them to work. I've got another little end on this other guy. Cool. That'll disappear. When they get worn, it'll sort of felt in. So there are no ends to weave in on the inside of these. and I'm making them for my husband. This is his foot. The first time I made socks for him, I did the working out on this side of the foot. This time I'm on this side of the foot, and I just write down my notes as I go. Next time I make him a pair of socks, I might trace him again, just in case there's a different foot size. But this is always good information to know, so that if something goes badly wrong, I can look back and see what I did and not make those socks again. Or if a sock is particularly good, I can copy it. Yeah. So that's what I do. I'm very nearly up to the heel. I'll just try them on. He's got a very pointy toe, so it can be a little bit hard to shove them on. Works better on a real foot than a cardboard foot, I have noticed. So there it is, on. And my heel marking is there. Or on the other side. There. So I'm nearly there. Nearly there. And maybe another stripe, or I'll get to the blue and then I'll be able to do the heels. And I'm knitting these two at a time, obviously, using magic loop. Yeah, and I dyed this yarn myself. It was the first yarn I dyed using my warping board to get a nice big skein. And before that, I just used 2 chairs and wound the yarn in between them. And because of that, the skein was never that big. So I couldn't get colour repeats this long before, they were shorter. But I'm happy with these. I think that's a nice length colour repeat. He enjoys the look of them. And I only used maybe 2/3 of my warping board, so I can make even longer colour repeats, actually. So that's nice. When I get to it, I will be doing a fish lips kiss heel, because that's so easy to remember. And it's $1 on Ravelry, so do go and buy it if you haven't already. Most people have, I think, because so many podcasters and everyone loves the pattern. And I think the money goes to a good cause. I can't quite remember, but I had a feeling the lady was sick and she was using the money from her sales to do some fundraising for her treatment, maybe, or something. Anyway, even if it's not a good cause, but I think it is. But even if it isn't, $1 is pretty cheap. So there you go. These are 2.25mm needles, Addy lace needles, which is my go-to. One thing about these needles, though, is that I can't knit with them if my hands are clammy or sweaty. Like, I sometimes get a bit anxious. That's an understatement. I sometimes get a little bit anxious, and when I do, my hands get sweaty. And I would like to be able to knit when I'm anxious, but I cannot knit on these needles when I'm anxious because they just won't go through. I push and I push and I pull, and things just get stuck because of the slight sweatiness on my hands. So I actually started these on some Knit Picks needles, the wooden ones that are green. I bought them with one order sometime, and I sat on them and I broke it. So I had to transfer to these, which I find it more difficult to knit on. I generally love these needles, but they're fine when I'm not sweaty, but when I am, I just can't. So anyway, that's that. And this is living in my Woodland Creatures bag by Knit and Stitch Bits. And she's a lovely lady, Katie, who lives in Tasmania. And she buys things off me and I buy things off her. And it's a very good arrangement. So the last thing I'm working on is a little baby hat to go with the little baby cardigan I made out of this yarn. So I only have this much left, but a little while ago, I'll put it up on screen if I remember, I made a little baby cardigan for a friend for baby shower, which is coming up in a couple of weeks. It's on the 11th of June, I think, a Saturday. And I had a little bit of yarn left and I thought, should I make some booties? And Mum suggested that I make a hat. So I just got a pattern free off Ravelry. It is the top-down simple ribbed newborn hat by Alwood Designs, and it's free, and it just is a top-down baby hat. And all I did was cast on 4 stitches at the top and increase from there, and you increase 8 times every other row, which is a really common crown increase or decrease if you're going the other way. And then you knit straight, and then you knit rib. So I'm up to the rib, as you can tell, and I'll just finish this row and tell you more about it. So I'm just going to knit as far as I can with the yarn that I have. I'm nearly out, but I think there'll be enough for this hat, and that's it. I would have liked to make a pom-pom, but oh well. I'll look in my stash, see if I have any other like complementary colours, because this has a rainbow and the denim blue, so if I can find one of the colours from the rainbow, then maybe I can make a pom-pom, but I don't think I can, actually. I don't think I can. This yarn is from Two Muck Valley Yarns, who is Nicole, and that's oh, excuse me, that was my phone. I'll just make sure that doesn't do it again. That's my brother. Okay. Cool beans. Sorry about that. It's from Nicole in Victoria, Australia. Two Muck Valley Yarns, and she has a Facebook group and an Etsy page, but she does her like releases on the Facebook page. So you have to be a member, and then you can, if you're in time, you can nab the things that you like when she releases them. It's really fun, and it's a great group to be part of. People post their finished objects and things in the group and show off the yarns and things. It's just lovely. So anyway, here I got to the end of a row, so there it is. And the yarn is just a superwash merino fingering weight yarn, and it is called Dipped in Rainbows in the denim colorway. So the background color is this blue denim color, and then we've got this rainbow running through. There's the crown, you can see the increases there. Yeah, it's an extremely simple pattern. I just hope that it's big enough for a baby's head, because it's too small for me. So that's a start, but I don't really know how big babies' heads are. So it's bigger than my hand, but yeah, not quite sure. I think it looks about right. It's a bit stretchy anyway. I think the cardigan came out a little bit bigger than a newborn size, like significantly bigger. So this, I'm knitting this on 2.75 millimeter needles. Now the pattern calls for 3.5 millimeter needles. I know that my gauge is loose. So I thought, okay, I'll go down to 3 millimeter needles, but try as I might, I could not find my 3 millimeter needles anywhere. Like, I go for Addy lace needles all the time. I just think they're great. And I can knit on them with sweaty hands if they're bigger than 2 millimeters. So these ones are okay for clammy hand knitting. And bigger ones are fine for clammy hand knitting. Like, I could knit that blanket if I had clammy hands easily on the Addy lace. Yeah, I couldn't find my 3 millimeter needles anywhere. I looked in all the project bags. I don't have many works in progress, so I couldn't be hiding. I looked in my little rolly pack of needles. I can't find it, so I was sure I had one though. Like, a while ago I went and bought like all of the sizes of Addy lace below my click set. So I have the Addy click lace set, and that starts at 3.5 millimeters upwards to 8 millimeters. And I thought that I bought all of the sizes below that from loveknitting.com, but I can't find it, so I have no idea where it is. That's annoying, because they're like $12. So next time I do an order from Love Knitting, I will buy another set of 3 millimeter Addy lace needles in maybe 80 centimeters long or 100. I like being able to do magic loop like this on little things. not just socks, but also these hats and things. Yeah, so that's what this is. And hopefully, well, I will definitely finish this today. It's going so well. I started it last night, so there's no problem with finishing this. I'm nearly out of yarn, so I'm going to have to finish anyway. Yeah. So that is my story with my finished object, which is the blanket, which you can't see, but I showed you, and my socks that I'm working on for Charlie, and the hat. So I'm going to briefly talk about some acquisitions. As I said, my husband was away. He was in America, actually, the US of A, California. And since he was in the area, I demanded that he go to Pearlescence Yarns, because I have heard a lot about that shop from listening to the Knitmore Girls for years and years. And it's the Bay Area's yarn shop. I'm sure there are others, but that's the one that they talk about on the Knitmore Girls. And I was really excited about the thought of him going there, and I thought maybe he might even run into Jasmine or Gigi. He didn't, but he did go there. And I said to him, just buy me some lovely yarn. Now, he did. He bought me some lovely yarn. It's not the yarn I would have chosen for myself, but it is lovely. So he bought me 2 skeins. First one he bought me is this. And this is Mountain Colours hand-painted yarns, and it is a sock yarn. 100 grams, 90% superwash merino, 10% nylon, which is an unusual blend, I think. It's usually 75-25, around that. 425 yards, which I think is 400 meters-ish. Yeah. Hand-dyed colours may vary, blah, blah, blah. And it's called Mountain Tango. Now, I'd never heard of this brand, Mountain Colours, but I think I will look at it. So that was 26 American dollars, which is, more than $26 here. So that was lovely of him. I think it is a variegated yarn, not a striping yarn. But if you look, it's got all these incredible colours in it. Deep purples, bright pink even, yellow, bright green, deep red and burgundy and blue. It's got everything. But it's predominantly green. There's a nice shot of blue. So that's lovely. And I'm not sure what I'm going to knit with this. I mean, socks obviously, but I don't know if I'm going to do a patterned sock. I've never successfully done a patterned sock. My first pair of socks was patterned, but they turned out horrible, and I have since thrown them out. But I might do a patterned sock with this. I'm not sure. If you have any suggestions, I'd be happy to hear them. Thanks. Then the other skein he got is this. And this is Bar Savannah. Bar Savannah. I guess Savannah is the base and Bar is the brand. And it's 10% cashmere, 10% nylon, 80% merino. So it's an MCN blend. And you can see that the cashmere, or can you see? I'll put it against my arm so you can see a bit better. The cashmere has a bit of a halo to it, more so than the other yarn. And the colourway is called Cinnamon Dolce, which I think means dessert, doesn't it? And it's just so soft and, soft and huggable. So that is lovely, and I don't know what I'm going to make with that, but it has to be something lovely. I don't know if the colour really goes with my colouring. It's kind of the same colour as my hair. So if I made a shawl out of it, people might think I have a beard. But it's lovely anyway. I could make socks with it, but it'd just be so nice. I can't believe it. So those are my 2 acquisitions. And I just feel my husband is so nice to get them for me. He's a sweetheart. It was on the last day of his conference and he didn't feel like going to the conference, so he went to a yarn shop. He's lovely. So that's just beautiful. Now, I thought I'd talk a little bit about my shop and what's happening in there. I dyed up a custom colorway for somebody. Someone got in touch and asked if I could do my galah colorway, which is pink, gradient pink and grey, except with purple instead of pink. So I said, of course I can. And so I dyed 3. I sent hers off to her already, and this is one of the ones left. I called it Purple Rain, so a bit of a tribute there to the late great Prince. I'm just trying to see if I can get the colour to show. It's all a little bit washed out, but it's got a very deep purple in it. See this little guy, he's very deep purple, and he fades through to he. I'm calling it he because he's Prince. Fades through to a mauve, through to almost light pink kind of colour, and then the grey is quite a dark grey, the storm cloud kind of grey. Yeah, and the stripe will be the same length as this stripe. So at the moment I think I've got 72 stitches on the needles up here, so quite wide, and the stripe is coming through nicely. I would like to be able to do samples in all of my colours, but that's going to take me forever, and we'll see how I go. I might yet do it. But there you go. So I've got 2 more of these left in the shop, so if you want them, do grab them. I dyed up 2 other things. Do I have 1 or 2 of these? I'm not sure. Not sure if I have 1 or 2 of these, but this is just a variegated red, orange, yellow, peach kind of colour. I seem to be drawn to these colours. I keep seeing beautiful sunsets and trying to recreate them in yarn, and it turns out different every time, just like the sunset is different every time. So that is a lovely one as well. And that's just variegated, not striped. And then I dyed up this tonal colour. There's only 1 of these. I did it because there was some leftover yarn in the pot. Dye in the pot. And I thought, I will dye that. And the dye was purple, so it was purple first, and then I put in some more blue, and we got this tonal blue and purple kind of colour with lighter and darker spots in it. So I really like that. And if no one buys it, I will knit with it. So that's nice. So I've started, one other thing. This is the same as the Prince colourway, but it's in a sock blank. So it starts very dark through to lighter, and then light grey through to dark grey, and that's on a sock blank. I haven't put that up yet. I'm not sure if I want to do some printing on it or something. Let me know if you think it would be nice with some printing on, because I don't know if I want to do that or not. Very dark at the end. Whoop, dropped it. So that's all the dyeing stuff I've done. I haven't done any for a week or so, just because I haven't sold anything, and it makes me think, maybe I just won't dye anymore. So until I sell some, I think I'm not going to dye anymore. Now, because I did this custom colorway, I thought maybe other people want custom colorways. So I'm now selling on my Etsy shop custom self-striping and non-self-striping yarns. So if you want me to dye up something that isn't in my shop already, like you want yellow and green stripes, or you want, I don't know, blue speckles on a pink base, I don't know, then you can look in my Etsy shop, cutifulyarns.etsy.com, and you can do that. So I'm happy to do that. That's fine. If you want that, just get in touch. I'd be happy to oblige you. So coming up on the needles, do you remember I was going to knit my yoga teacher a pair of socks, and then I didn't, or I undid them. I undid them on the podcast because I just didn't want to knit them anymore. And someone commented on the episode thread, why don't you make yoga socks? and I didn't know what yoga socks were. So I thought yoga socks were just big, loose socks, but apparently they are not. I went to yoga last week and the week before. We started up again. I'm going with my brother now, which is really nice. And I saw a lady with hand-knit socks, and I said, "Oh, are those hand-knit socks?" And she said, "Yes." And my brother said, "So are mine," because he was wearing socks I made him. He basically hasn't taken them off. And we had a little conversation about how they're great. Knitted socks are really nice, which was lovely. And then she said, "And I've got yoga socks so that my feet don't get cold during yoga." And I looked at them, and she showed them to me, and they were basically socks without toes or heels. So I guess you start at the cuff, you knit down, and then I don't know how you get the heel. Maybe you cast off half the stitches and then cast them on again, so your heel sticks out, and then you just knit to where you do your toe decreases and then cast off. So your toes and your heel sticks out, and this is so that when you're practicing yoga, you can still grip the mat without slipping all around, which is what happens if you wear socks. I've just been having bare feet during yoga, and that's been okay for me, but I guess it's going to get colder this year. So yoga socks, it's an interesting concept. So someone said, "Why don't you knit yoga socks for your teacher? You don't have to be as precise with the size," which is really interesting. So because you don't knit all the way to the toe or the heel, you can kind of estimate a little bit more the size and not be so exact. So I know she has small feet, and the reason I undid the previous pair of socks was because I didn't know her exact size. I didn't want to make her fitted socks that don't fit. So if I make her yoga socks, that could be really great, right? I think that sounds like an excellent idea, and I'm really glad that this lady showed me her yoga socks. And I feel like a chump for seeing that comment months ago and not following it up. So whoever commented that, thank you for that. And I am actually going to maybe do that. And plus, that means you don't have to knit the toe and the heel, so they won't take so long. The only thing I was confused about was which way you put them on, because they look kind of symmetrical when you finish them. Like the toe ends with ribbing and the cuff ends with ribbing, and it sort of looks the same upside down. So, but it doesn't matter, does it? I suppose if they look the same, they probably are the same. So I thought I might do that, and I might even just do it out of the yarn that I was going to use in the first place. This is the Knit Picks Felici in the candy jar colourway, which I think is kind of gross, but I don't know, I just don't like that green. It's blurgy, a bit sickening. Like imagine if you eat a whole jar of candy, you'd feel sick. I just think that's kind of reminiscent of that feeling of eating too many lollies. So that is next, maybe, after this. So I'll finish this today. I'll try and get to the heel on my husband's socks today, and see if I can get them started this week sometime, which would be good. I'll try and knit them two at a time. So I wanted to talk about doing a knit-along, because we haven't done a knit-along in a while, and I mentioned the idea of doing one recently, and people said, well, if you don't know what to make the knit-along about, make it about something that you want to knit, so that other people can join in and, you end up with the thing you wanted to in the first place. So I think that is what I'm going to do. So we can do a socks and shawl knit along if you like, because I'm doing socks and I have a shawl in the pipeline as well. How about a socks and shawl knit along? So if you finish any socks, or if you finish a shawl during the time, you can enter it. And how about we say works in progress are allowed at the start, but they have to be finished by the end. How about that? And I think I will make it a month long, and it will be from the 29th of May to the 29th of June. And the 29th of June is my birthday. So that's lovely. So it'll be like a birthday present to me to see all of the lovely finished things that people have. And yeah, socks and shawl. What can we call that? We can just call it socks and shawl. Or we can call it neck and toes. Something like this. Any ideas, put it in the thread. That'd be fun. And I'm going to say double dipping is allowed, because I'd be pretty mean if it wasn't allowed, wouldn't I? Everybody else allows double dipping, so happy for that. The one thing is that I would like you to watch the episode where I announce the winners that I draw, because I would like you to get in touch with me if you win. See, that's how I can tell people are actually paying attention. Not that it's a test, but like if you enter, probably should watch the drawing giveaway. Yeah, so how about we have the rules being you're in the group on Ravelry, you can have works in progress or start fresh, shawls or socks, finish by 29th of June, my birthday. I'm going to be 29 on the 29th. Isn't that sweet? I think that's pretty great. This is the only year I'll be able to be 29 on the 29th. And funnily enough, it's the same year a friend of mine was 28 on the 28th of April. So that's cute. And yeah, I've got giveaways. So firstly, I've got this massive project bag by Knit and Stitch Bits, by Katie of Knit and Stitch Bits. It's massive. I nearly stole this, and then I didn't, because I'm not a terrible person. It's got a square base, not square, rectangular, and it's lined with the same lining she lines all of her bags, or at the moment anyway. And in here I've got 2 cakes of, what is it? The Rocking Yak, 100% Tibetan yak down, which is pretty special, I think. Soft and interesting. It's an interesting yarn, you know. So this is from my stash, and I thought I'm not going to use these before I go away. I probably would use them eventually if I wasn't going away, but I'm not going to use them, you know, now. So I'll give them away to somebody who will use them, or who's more likely to use them, or who at least isn't moving, moving overseas. So that's the Rocking Yak machine spun yarn, Tibetan yak down. This yarn is made from 100% Tibetan yak down, exotic yarn waiting to be crafted into luxury. And it says your purchase helps support rural Tibetan women living on the Tibetan plateau. And I think I knew that when I bought it. I bought it because of the sort of charity that was going on with it. And I bought it from a show. And it was from a group that sells yarn that is environmentally friendly or that benefits a community. So I'll see if I can find out who I bought it from. So that will be a prize. Another prize will be a custom skein from me. Now I only have sock yarn at the moment, so bear that in mind, but I'm happy to make a speckle, a tonal, a striped, a solid, a variegated, whatever. So that will be another prize, and I'll think up some other stuff too. So there you go. Neck and toes, that sounds like a disease. Top to toes? It's not really top though, because I'm not including hats. I could include hats. No, I'm not going to include hats. Let's not include hats. I'll think about this. And you also can think about this. So, what else was I going to say? I'll just tell you briefly about my few weeks. I had a performance at the Canberra International Music Festival, which was really fun. It was raining that day, but we were inside. That was good. I've been teaching all my kidlets at the schools, and that's been okay. I told them all that I'm moving, and some of them seem completely unaffected by the news, and some of them are kind of shattered, which is annoying, because makes it harder for me. See, kids don't understand that whoever teaches them next, whoever it is teaching them because they need a job, right? I'm teaching because I need a job, and it pays money, and I need money to live. And everything else is kind of extra, like everything else, all the feelings you get, all of the connection with the teacher, that's extra. And it's not guaranteed. So I connect with some of my students really well and others not. And one of my girls said to me this week, I'm sure that whoever I get won't be as good as you. And I said, well, I'm sure maybe they will be as good as me at percussion, you know. And she said, oh, but you make your own clothes. No one else does that. And I thought, well, it's not really the point, is it? Well, not the point at all. And I said to her, well, maybe the person who takes my place will just be a person who's good at percussion who needs a job. And, you know, anyway, I just think kids don't quite get that. Yeah, another thing happened, you might have seen on Instagram that I burnt myself quite badly. That was a silly accident. I was making dinner. I was about to put the potatoes in the boiling water on the stove. I had this lovely dinner prepared, or about to make, that was all, you know, ready to go. And I knocked the pot off the stove and it went all down my arm. Luckily, I was wearing a few layers of cardigans and stuff, so I didn't get too badly burnt up here. I got one burn here, and the worst of it hit my hand, which was quite worrying at the time. But, you know, after 6 or 8 hours, the pain just stops. The pain is extremely bad for 6 or 8 hours, like extremely bad, and then it just stops. And then you have this burn to deal with. It hurts to touch, and sometimes it gets really, really unbearably itchy. But apart from that, it's fine. I've currently got on like this clear dressing and some gel that the chemist gave me. I think it's been nearly a week, and I think after a week I might take off the dressing and start applying like moisturizing creams and stuff. I put it on Facebook, and then everybody started telling me what to do, like saying, have you tried this? Have you tried this? You have to have aloe vera or vitamin E, or you must keep it covered, or all of this stuff. And I just thought, I can't do all of these things, so how about I delete the post and you stop telling me? So I deleted it, and I felt pretty dumb for putting it up in the first place, actually. Yeah, but I'm fine. I can knit now. I just couldn't knit on that first night when I did it. But yeah, that's my news. It'll peel and be, you know, super heinous for a little while. That's okay. So I think that'll do us for today. This is a long episode. Sorry. You have a really good week. Get involved in the knit along. Start thinking about what you want to put in. Works in progress. Welcome. You know, join it up with Stash Dash. Do something like that. Socks and shawls. Maybe I'll just call it socks and shawls. If you have a suggestion, put it in the thread. Do join me over on Instagram, where I'm Cutiful Christina. Do join me on Ravelry, where I'm Chrisar, that's CHRISSAAH. I forgot to put this at the beginning. And my shop is cutifulyarns.etsy.com. I've got a whole bunch of stuff up there right now that just hasn't been sold. So have a great week. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.